Good afternoon and welcome back. This is US Home Talk. We are your go-to real estate podcast, whether you are buying, selling, investing, or simply wanting to learn more about real estate. We got your back. We are your hosts, Marcus Walgrave with the South Dakota Home Team, powered by Hague Realtors, Jason Walgrave with RE/MAX, Advantage Plus, and the Walgrave Real Estate Group, and our amazing producer and insurance guru, Evan Little. Anything and everything real estate. Don't forget to send us your real estate questions to our real estate hotline at 612-234-7585. Good afternoon. How are we doing today?
Good to be here. It's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day. I'll tell you what. If you guys are new to the show, US Home Talk, we just try to cover the current events of what's going on in the real estate industry, whether that has to do with housing. When we have our other co-host, Mike Overson, the finance world, like I said before, Evan Little in the insurance world, we try to cover anything and everything real estate. You guys can find our information online on our website. It's an awesome website, super user-friendly, ushometalk.com. Or like I said, you guys can give us a call on our hotline. It's open 24/7. That number is 612-234-7585. Today we are going to have a pretty, fun episode. Nothing too serious or groundbreaking here. We're going to be talking about some of the America's most popular architectural styles for homes. And Jason, when we kind of go over these, I'm curious. I mean, obviously, I service the Sioux Falls, South Dakota market. Sioux Falls is a growing city. We're under 250,000. Our metro, maybe up to 350,000. But you're up in the Twin Cities area, up in Minnesota, the Twin Cities, quite a bit bigger, right? Probably 10 times larger in terms of like my area and comparing the Sioux Empire to the Twin Cities and metro. And so obviously a bigger city, you're going to have more opportunity to come across more home styles. I'm going to kind of go over my list, and I know for certain that there aren't many. Just talking about sitting inventory. There aren't many of some of these architectural options, and so it'd be kind of interesting to see, what you guys are seeing up there in the Twin Cities area. So I'm going to jump right into it if that's good with you.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. The first one is the Colonial Revival style houses. This one is kind of defined as symmetrical front elevation features, windows and shutters on both sides of a centered front door. The roof often includes a boxed eave and overhead windows called fan lights. You guys got a lot of the Colonial Revival style houses up in the Twin Cities?
We do. Yeah, we do. And I think, there's some, I think there's like a simpler version of that is, has less, doesn't have shutters and is, just kind of a simpler version of the Colonial. But there's a lot of both for sure.
Yeah. Yep. There's a couple, subdivisions that we see this type of home. We definitely don't have a significant inventory of it. I know anybody who sees it, everybody just loves the look of that home. But it seems to be falling more into maybe of our more established higher end subdivisions. That's kind of where you're going to be able to find that house here in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota market. The next one on the list is the mid-century modern style houses. Now this is a fun one, right? This mid-century modern style. When you talk about that one, we're talking about low pitch roofs, doors that are not centered, usually off to the side, and a lot of exterior features that clad on wood and stone. Mm-hmm. There's a couple subdivisions that you saw some of our local builders put that product out there, but even like in the new construction, I don't really see too many of these. It's not really this mid-century modern style. Again, another architectural style that we don't have a lot of in Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Yeah, we've got. I think it's definitely neighborhood specific. You know, you'll get some neighborhoods where maybe it's just one builder or
Yeah.
two or three builders, and they kind of agree to ahead of time of a a certain style that they're going to shoot for. I think I like these homes too. I think that they look nice and there's different varieties of front elevations and so but we've got a fair amount of those as well.
Yeah, definitely cool. It's a definitely a cool look, right? And I think if you have a builder and they're able to say, hey, this type of house should fit on a specific type of lot. You kind of have to play off the land too. Mm-hmm. There's certain houses that you put in certain places, and so I think if you match the house with the right kind of lot, it doesn't really matter where you're at. You're going to come out with a super cool home.
Yes.
Next one is the Craftsman style houses. We definitely see lots of these. Mm-hmm. We have a significant inventory of these of pre-existing and new construction. When we talk about a Craftsman style house, roofs are low pitch typically. Decorative beams and false braces. Porches are large and supported by massive columns. I kind of think of some of the builds that you guys do up there in the Twin Cities area. Definitely you see that in new construction. You see it, today. You saw it 20 years ago. You saw it 50 years ago.
Yeah.
The Craftsman style house is definitely a fan favorite.
Yeah, I really like Craftsman style too. I think you can get really creative with, some of the gables and the trim pieces and I think they have a lot of they got a lot of character to them. So I'm a big fan of the style.
Now here's the next one. The next one is a ranch style house. You guys don't call them ranches up there, right? You call them ramblers.
We call them ramblers. Yep.
So I wonder where that comes from, like with the Rambler. Is it just a Minnesota market, or is that Minnesota, Wisconsin? Is it? Can we blame Wisconsin for the Rambler?
Possibly, but if you look at nationwide, ranch is more common for a one story. Maybe it has a basement or maybe it doesn't, but I think that the ranch that word is used more often. That's a great question. Evan, we'll send our researcher Evan to figure out where the word Rambler came from.
I'm looking it up right now because I'm curious about this too.
Like you said, Jason, I mean the ranch style. You're talking about a one-story structure, mm-hmm. Attached garage, it accentuates the length of the home, mm-hmm. And asymmetrical front entry. We have a lot of ranch style homes. In terms of like the one level, but I don't know if I necessarily would qualify them as like an architectural. It's more of like that one level living basement kind of a style. So number 5, prairies. Oh, sorry.
Oh, some of the builders up here have done a good job of taking the ranch style and almost blending some Craftsman into it. And which one of my favorite home styles is a side load garage ranch. And and then you mix in some Craftsman style. Maybe you've got some false windows on the roof. And some gabled windows, which are just decorative. But I've seen some really cool front elevation and styles that combine kind of the ranch and the Craftsman style.
Yeah, I agree, right? And that, like you said, the side load, that makes it look, the front elevation just looks super sharp. Looks really like good. A huge home, too.
It does.
And you're just like, holy buckets, that thing is massive. And it's like, well, definitely a big home, obviously. But, and kind of, even like when you talk about blending styles, right? That modern ranch, mm-hmm. that was kind of a style that was, holy buckets, was that hot starting, 2015, 2016? Yeah. Yeah. And kind of, again, like you said, blending two concepts. You got the ranch, but then you're bringing in some modern, or like, to your point, ranch Craftsman style. So definitely some cool properties out there. Number 5 on the list is a prairie style house. The roof is low pitch, sometimes shaped like a pyramid with overhanging and enclosed eaves. Front entry porch typically has a massive supports, and exterior detailing heavily emphasized on horizontal lines.
Yeah.
Kind of the example that they give, if you go online and you search a prairie style architectural homes, I mean, those are cool houses, right?
Yeah. When I think of that, I think of Frank Lloyd Wright design and Frank Lloyd Wright inspired designs. I've sold a home that was a Frank Lloyd. I think it was his apprentice that actually designed the one that I sold. But those are pretty cool, and they're different. And so I like that style as well. I think it's really neat.
Yep, it's a cool one, and I think when you hear like the prairie style, I mean, to me, it almost feels like a house that you might see out on the on an acreage.
Yep.
Or an old farmhouse.
Yep.
And some pretty cool porches and features like that, and so today we are talking about the America's top architectural styles for homes. And before we get any further into it, we are going to go ahead and jump into our legal minute of the day.
This is Jeff O'Brien, attorney with Hush Blackwell, with the U.S. Home Talk Legal Minute. An encroachment is when another person puts up a structure that intrudes on or over your land. This issue might come up if, for example, one of your neighbors were to build a shed that is partially on your property, or expands his house so that a porch ends up on your property. You might decide that your neighbor's encroachment doesn't bother you and do nothing about it. This option has the advantage of preserving goodwill between you and your neighbor. However, if you ever want to sell your property, you will need to disclose the encroachment to any potential buyers so that they can consider the issue as part of their purchasing decision. In addition, any survey will reveal the encroachment, which will create a cloud on title. A good way to remedy the encroachment in this scenario is for both parties to enter into an encroachment and easement agreement. The party onto whose property the structure encroaches agrees to allow the encroachment to remain and grants an easement to their neighbor to maintain the structure, and in exchange, the neighbor relinquishes any claim of ownership to your property, which cuts off adverse possession or prescriptive easement claims. This is Jeff O'Brien, attorney with Hush Blackwell, with the U.S. Home Talk Legal Minute.
That was a
Thank
good legal
you, Jeff
minute.
O'Brien. Yes,
Yeah.
it was a great legal minute. Much appreciated. If you guys are looking to find out any of our other amazing partners that we have of our show, check out our website, ushometalk.com. You're going to be able to get their contact information. You can also get myself, Jason, our mortgage guru, Mike Overson, and our insurance guru, Evan Little, as well. Anything and everything real estate, you're going to be able to find that. And even our past shows, too. So if you're not finding today's show interesting, go ahead and hop in our archive. We've been doing this for quite some time, and we got some really cool past shows. So we're confident that you'll be able to find a topic that you're interested in, and hopefully you'll learn something from it. Today we're talking about top architectural styles of U.S. homes. Number 5 was prairie style houses. Jason, you name dropped Frank Lloyd Wright. It's kind of the founder of it, right? And just a quick, interesting story. I don't know if you've ever been into Wisconsin, but there's a place called House on the Rock. And the person who built this House on the Rock was inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright. Now, this house doesn't. It's a category of its own. If you know, you know. But if you want to check it out, Google it sometime. House on the Rock. Jason, I know if you guys ever get out to Wisconsin Dells, for a little vacay, it's about 45 minutes away from there.
Okay.
Worth the trip.
Oh, cool.
Worth the trip. You'll find it cool. The kids will find it cool. My family went there a couple weeks back, and it was a neat little place to visit. So, but number 6 on our list is a Tudor style house. I like this, right? And I definitely seem like that is it had started to take off in the Twin Cities area a number of years ago. I'd say maybe 5+ years ago. Mm-hmm. Some of that new construction was starting to do it, and we're starting to see some of this more in Sioux Falls. And it's got a really cool look. 16th century England is kind of where it comes from. Signature elements is a decorative half timbering, vertical and horizontal beams embedded in stucco on the exterior. Front view typically includes a steeply pitched roof. I think that's like the giveaway, right? One that is so steep that it almost has like a church type of steepness to it. So windows are tall and narrow. A cool house. I like these. These are neat.
I do too.
Number 7 is the Cape Cod style house. we see these definitely in our market, but when I see like that Cape Cod style in our Sioux Falls market, it was definitely seems to be like our inventory. It was really built in like 1950s and 60s.
Okay.
And that's where almost all of them are, in terms of like the when they were built.
Sure.
And they're small. We're like 2-1 on the main, maybe another bedroom in the basement. These are small houses.
Sure.
And those were the inventory that we have. But super. It seems like a minimalist, efficient, attractive little home.
Agree.
Lots of brick. You typically see them
Yeah.
with significant red brick. So, number 8, the Spanish Revival style houses. We don't have many of those
No.
in Sioux Falls. I mean, I can think of like maybe, less than 10
Yeah.
of this style of home throughout Sioux Falls. I'm sure there are more, and they typically fall in like that luxury category. When you have that, do you have any like subdivisions that are specifically? You talked about this earlier in the show where sometimes the developer will say, "Hey, you guys got builders. You guys got 2 options to build here, and
Yep.
one is going to be the Spanish Revival."
I can't think of any full developments that are that, but there's not many. Those are kind of sprinkled out. You definitely notice them, because it feels like it's pulled right out of like Texas or Arizona or something like that. They're pretty cool. I think slate roofs are pretty common in those, and those are it's a style. It's a style for sure, but we do not have many of those up here either.
Evan, quick insurance question for you if you're ready. I was wondering, when you do have those slate style roof coverings, are you getting a better deal since it appears like they're not going to blow away?
No.
Same.
That's the short answer. Your carrier options actually become limited. Anytime you have anything that's different than normal, right? A lot of insurance carriers get kind of freaked out by it and go, that's unusual. So your options go down. And the other thing to consider is that while a slate roof is, well, there's some thunder going on, there is some extra ruggedness to any sort of tile roof. There's also the potential for higher costs from damages because the roof cost is higher. So you're trading off one thing for another. What we've seen with slate roofs is essentially that you often pay a premium because you have to move to a more boutique insurer, but your actual premium difference with that insurer versus if you had a, architectural shingle tile roof, it's not that big, but you're put into more boutique categories by the slate roofs. Now, that said, there's also the aspect of this that most homes that have slate roofs tend to be, mid or large size homes in that category of like custom or semi-custom builds. It's very unusual to see something like a 1950s built Rambler or a ranch home with a slate tile roof. So
that'd be a weird mix.
Right, exactly. When I got my house re-roofed 3 years ago, I was not thinking about getting a slate tile roof on it. Also, on that note, I've done a little bit of research, and it is as simple as they started off being called ranch homes, and then people were like, "Man, that house sure is rambling. It takes up all this space. It just rolls along." Really? So it's a slang term that referred to the ranch style of homes that kind of took off, and it is a regional thing that appears that much of the Midwest, apparently not where Marcus is, but much of the Midwest calls them ramblers, as well as the Northwest. So,
well, I think South Dakota technically is in the prairie, so I don't think we're quite in Midwest.
No,
so maybe that's why. No, I don't think so. I don't think South Dakota is
I think the Midwest goes all the way down to Oklahoma. So
yeah, maybe. I think the Great Plains is its own separate region, possibly.
That sounds
new stuff today.
That sounds like
Better fact check that.
yeah.
BS
Everything
to me.
we say is 100% factual on US Home Talk.
There's
Check
only
out our
4
website
regions
at
of the United States.
ushometalk.com. Well, going back to the show, we just got a couple more styles left that we're going to cover here today. Number 9 is the Mediterranean style house. Again, this is one where it kind of falls in the same category as our Spanish revival. Super cool looking homes. I absolutely love them. Love both those two styles. But we just don't really have a high demand in Sioux Falls. People aren't like, hey, we want to build a new house and this is what we want. Which is understandable. Like we were joking about it a little bit later, previously, the Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the Midwest, Great Plains, maybe doesn't really fit the background. The backdrop isn't the right backdrop for this type of style of house, but I love them. I think they're super cool.
I do too. We don't have many up here either, but yeah, I think they're cool.
And the last one we are going to cover this is number 10 on the list, is the Victorian style. Oh yeah, Midwest. Okay. Well, I like it. I guess we're Midwesterners. I'll take it. Number 10, Victorian style houses. One of my favorites.
Yeah,
One of my favorites.
mine too, Marcus. There's a couple neighborhoods, one in St. Paul and one in Minneapolis that stick out to me. And Summit Avenue in St. Paul has a lot of really beautiful, big Victorian houses, and they've got a tremendous amount of detail. They're really cool. A lot of times they're 3 full stories plus a basement. I love the Victorian look, and they don't. Almost all of those are older. I can't think of a newer build Victorian. I can't think of an example because they just don't build them anymore.
Sticker shock, right?
Oh my goodness, the cost to build that.
It's got to be what it is. You're 20-30% higher.
Oh yeah.
Same, square footage. You look at a Victorian style house, and I think in terms of like resale, right? Too, I've shown some ones like you said they're built a while ago. They're always pre-existing homes that got some years on them, and you look at them, and you're like, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
that's gonna be tough to maintain. There's a lot of moving parts, on that house. Hard to beat the style. Just quick little history on it. It was during the Queen Victoria's reign in Great Britain from 1837 to 1901, and then during that period, a number of major American innovations in construction technology started happening in like the 1860s in America.
Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of where. They saw what was going on over there in Great Britain. We're like, love it, bring it over to America. Started doing that, but holy buckets, some incredible features, high ceilings, dramatic staircases, an abundance of molding. I think that's kind of everywhere, interior, exterior. It's pretty cool. But I think one is like the choppy layout. I think that's pretty fair to say too, right?
Yep,
you go into those houses and you're like, okay, this is like the 12th room, and we're still on the main level.
Yep.
A lot of walls. A lot of walls.
But you're right. The millwork is incredible. The crown molding, the 8-foot interior doors, 10-foot ceilings. They're pretty awesome. So I'm a big fan of the Victorian ones as well.
It'd be kind of cool to see somebody, a builder, say, you know what, we're gonna modernize the Victorian style, and bring like the 2026, the 2020s version, the 2030s version of the Victorian style, and see if they could bring it back to life. I just wonder if it's just a cost thing.
I think it's a cost.
Yeah. People are looking at building, and then they say, "Well, would it look to this?" Well, put another $500,000 on. It's like, holy buckets. Okay, we'll pass.
Well, and today's buyer is less interested in square feet than they were 10 years ago. And so it's not about how big a house can I buy or build. It's the floor plan is more important than the size of the house. And so I think a lot of those homes are very big, and so it would take a very specific buyer with a big budget. So
yeah, big budget. Yep. Yeah, big budget. Well, as our show comes to an end here today, we want to just take a second to thank you all for your support. Whether you're tuning in on Wednesdays to watching us or you're hopping on our website at ushometalk.com and watching any of our past shows, we are very thankful for your support. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Marcus Walgrave and Jason Walgrave. We hope you have yourself a blessed week.